Okay, hey guys, welcome to the live. No, it's been a minute or so. Kent's joining me today. Anyways, if you guys haven't hit that like and share for Jack and Lily, again, they've been missing since May 2nd of 2025. And we're, 4 months and 13 days since they've disappeared and still no answers to what happened to Jack and Lily. Anyways, it's nice to have you guys here tonight. And thank you, Kent. Of course, and say hello, Kent.
Hello, Kent.
Yeah. Hello, Kent. And Charmaine's on her way home. She's halfway home back to BC from her job that she's on. So it will be nice when Charmaine can join the live as well. I do really miss her. Not that I don't miss you too, Kent, but I miss Charmaine a lot. It's been a minute.
As I said last night, first friends is best friends, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um, we always send each other, like I said, gifts, and it's always about crime and my partner in crime and stuff like that. Anyways, you guys, and I see Belinda's in the house. Hey, Belinda, love you very much. Always just want what Belinda wants is answers, and what everybody wants is answers for what happened to Jack and Lily. Now, you guys, my lives will be very sporadic because I have a lot going on. My twin sister does move next Thursday, so my last day to see her is actually on this coming Saturday. And then my work schedule goes back to nights after next week as well. But anyway, so my lives will be very sporadic, but that doesn't mean I'm always not looking or thinking about Jack and Lily. Of course, it enters my brain every day. Kent, what have you been up to this past week? What's going on?
Once Charmaine gets home, me and her will take over your lives for you.
Hey, you guys can do that because she has the co-host seat.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. They can schedule lives if you guys want to ever do one. Adam used to do that all the time, right? Because like I said, not always can I be there, but yeah, Charmaine absolutely can host one, and all I have to do is set up my part and stuff like that. But anyway, so okay, so what about you know what? There's a couple things we're going to talk about. So let's talk about this first. So please bring what is it? Please bring me back home. Reach back out to Belinda, but she doesn't have the fundamentals of exactly how that's going to work. I remember that somebody sent me it about over a month ago, and then I sent it off to Belinda, but somebody had already shared it with her, and I guess they reached out to her with Jack and Lily, but again, don't have any of the ins and outs or anything like that. So what do you feel about that?
We're going to have a Zoom meeting on Friday,
Who's going to have,
or
sorry,
supposed to be Friday.
catch me up on this, because I'm a little bit out of the loop, just a little bit. So
Well, I believe it's her and Christine Ingrid,
mm-hmm.
and they're in one of our groups. So Christine has done a couple lives now on the Facebook page.
Right.
And the one that she done yesterday, which was supposed to be last night, but she moved it up because people with their schedules, she had mentioned that they're hoping to set up a Zoom meeting with her and one with Belinda, and they hope that will be Friday, but there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
Kim Mitchell, the Woods ban is lifted. So for anybody that is locals, Chelsea
Mm-hmm.
and Christine are also organizing a couple search parties coming up
Perfect.
in the next couple of weeks. And I keep advising them, and I don't know if anybody has or hasn't. So don't start jumping on people. But I just keep advising them to make sure that they get permission, because it's pretty much private property out there
Right.
on everything except for the rail bed, right? The pipeline although a lot of people use it, there is signs that you're not supposed to enter the pipeline area. So, but I think that would be an easy one to get, the individual landowners.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying at all that any of them have denied access. I'm just saying
Right.
I keep advising them to make sure that if they're going on private property,
Hmm.
that they get written permission first
Yeah,
to cover
absolutely.
their own butts.
Yeah. Yeah, this happened in the Sebastian Rogers case. Exactly the same thing as well, right? Yeah, you definitely need the permission to go onto the private properties for sure. Um, and hopefully most people are understanding of that. In the case of these two missing children. So, um, so I only heard about the lives. I haven't watched these lives at all. I've
Pretty short so far. The
yeah,
ones
but
I haven't caught either one of them live because they keep jumping around from the scheduled time.
yeah,
But I have watched them both. They're both there on the Facebook page. So if no one knew about them, um, and Christine is going to try to be better. She tells me. I told her she jumps around worse than a jackrabbit trying to find her, but she is going to try to have another one towards the end of the week or next weekend if they do get the meetings set up with bring them home this
yeah.
week.
Hmm. So
Belinda, if I'm stating anything wrong, you can correct me, but 'cause I know you're in here.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so that's something that's new. Um, Christine is also uh asked and received for the paperwork from Transportation Nova Scotia and seems to be getting some cooperation.
good.
Now, getting cooperation and them agreeing to put a sign where we want it may be a different thing, but at least in her email communications, so we might be able to put some signs closer to road locations, which
Mhm.
definitely would be more visible, right, and more prominent.
Yeah.
So that's good news. It's
Yep.
pretty all good news as far as the organization's going. The only thing that I have to say bad news is it's pretty damn quiet.
What's quiet? About Jack,
Everything.
about Jack
The
and Lily,
case.
or the case? Well,
Yeah.
well, and this is why. And I know I can't do lives as often. Okay, so just to explain that, I was on holidays at the beginning of August for a couple of weeks. Prior to that, one of my co-workers would always switch me because at the time she needed to switch, so she was always taking my night shifts and I was taking her mid shifts or morning shifts for her. That's not the case anymore. She's completed her courses that she needed to do, and so now I just basically, my schedule always typically runs 2 weeks, morning 6 to 2, then a mid shift can be from 8 to 4, and like tomorrow is 9:30 to 5:30, for instance, and same with Wednesday and Thursday. And then I'm back on to nights because I did an extra night, and that's why it's only 5 weeks instead of 6 weeks before my nights come back up. But bottom line is that you know and this goes to all the creators, whether they're haters or they're friendly fire ones. At the end of the day, it's about the awareness of keeping Jack and Lily's faces out there, being voices for Jack and Lily. Now, to me, I know that no matter what, we can't change the wheel. Okay, what's going to happen is going to happen, whether they're AI content creators and misinformation and different stuff like that. But bottom line is that regardless, it might suck in certain ways, but it happens in all the cases. Is that there's always going to be drama, and there's always going to be um, arguments, people getting their panties in a pinch and stuff like that. Who cares, right? I mean, I'm here for Jack and Lily. Again, I do my channel for my own reasons, and it's always to fight for the victims first and foremost. However, other channels want to cover this case, is it like I have no control, or it's none of my business at the end of the day how someone wants to cover Jack and Lily's case. But this channel, we do like to talk about the facts for sure, always, first and foremost. We want to use the RCMP, we want to use the families' voices, and anything that can maybe help bring awareness. Or it's not so much, you guys. I mean, we're trying to understand the case. Absolutely. We're trying to understand a timeline of to what truly happened to Jack and Lily. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is it still goes back to being voices and bringing awareness to a case. That's what really helps people remember the case without it going cold. So for the please bring me home, for anything, whether it's lives on Facebook that you're speaking of and stuff like that, it's all bringing awareness regardless. And that's what you want in a case, right? And sadly, there's tons of cases out there. Like there's tons. And it's just so sad. For Jack and Lily, it's been over 4 months now, still no answers, but yet the answers are out there. So I truly hope that this doesn't turn into a cold case. But it's not there yet at all. I'm sure there's, like I said, there's obviously stuff that the RCMP absolutely know and are working on behind it. And that's all we can hope for, is just answers one way or the others, right? And even though we have different opinions on what we possibly think happened to the children, they're just possibilities. They're not factual. Those are just, speculation and stuff. But there's people that believe that they're alive and, and hidden somewhere, other people that believe that they're not alive, that there's family involvement. Some people might still believe that they're in the woods and just were never found. And others might think that, like, I pulled this up yesterday too. The chances of a stranger abduction in all the cases that are out there, and there's say 40,000 cases, right? And out of those 40,000, like in a year, 30,000 of them are teenagers, right? That always usually make it back home. They ran away. Now, out of the whole entire amount, 1% to 2% tops is a stranger abduction. Okay, it's very low on the totem pole of being what happened in a case. Doesn't mean it's implausible, but we're talking about 1% to 2% tops. And so in this case, again, who knows what people think, whatever people want to think about the information or what happened to Jack and Lily, entirely up to you guys, right?
Our purpose is all the same for everybody.
Correct.
And that's to find the answers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
As you say, our beliefs differ, but we should be able to discuss and debate those differences without calling anybody down.
That's just it. Because I want people to have their own opinions. Everyone has the right to have their own opinion. But we all know in this channel, it's always about the respect of, if you can't respect the channel and how you talk in it, then you don't deserve to be here. Because this is for the people that truly just want to talk about the case and bring awareness to the case. And we can all have our difference of opinions. Absolutely. And that part I have no problem with. I'm not here to try to, like if people bring up other content creators, I don't have a problem with that. Even if I don't like that content creator myself personally. I don't care if somebody says, like, oh, check out this channel or something like that. That stuff doesn't bug me. All I care myself about is that we're here to bring awareness to the case. This is not my career. Okay. So this is just what I would call something that's important to me, past my job, and that I can do something for my own self to cover cases and to bring awareness. And that's what's important to me, because again, as a people person, I just could never imagine, especially being in the shoes of Belinda and having to have a hole and no answers to what's gone on with Jack and Lily and to all the other family members out there. Um, Honestly, it's the most devastating thing that any situation I can think of. There's horrific events that happen in other cases, but just to have to literally have a family member, especially, and literally have no clue has got to be the worst feeling in the world, right? Right? There's horrific cases that happen, and people get buried because of that, because cases like this happen all day long, right? But to not have any answers is I would never want to be in these shoes. So my heart goes out to Belinda. She's been fighting for answers for Jack and Lily. I'm sure she goes through her times when she's stronger and other times where, I'm sure questions like when will she ever get answers? Will she ever get answers? Hard times. I'm sure there's a lot of other families. I speak for Belinda because Belinda is the one that I have spoken to at the beginning of this. She is fighting for Jack and Lily, you know, like out of the family members for me. She is the one that's out here, being a voice on the channel, and being a voice in everywhere, like Facebook groups here, other lives, um, and just dealing with this every single day. It's heartbreaking. Yeah. Hi, boss man. Hi, guys. So Kent, the next thing if you don't mind, before we get into more about Jack and Lily, I'd like to talk about the Salt Springs Elementary Buddy Bench.
I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah. So go ahead and talk about it.
Well, the good news is the one that we have here right now, I believe will be going to the school tomorrow. The school board personnel is coming to approve it. And if it's approved, then they pick it up and they take it back to the school, and the school will be setting it by the front doors until they get the cement pad put in to anchor down, because if they don't anchor it somehow, it will disappear much quicker than it is getting there. So I'm also trying to coordinate and contact, and it looks like if the bench disappears tomorrow, or, well, I shouldn't say that word, if the bench goes to the school tomorrow, that it would be a still photo shot. But I hope, and I'm trying to convince different media to do a generic story on buddy benches, not necessarily this one as a memorial. Because that's not where we're at, not what any of us necessarily thought about as the purpose. Their names are still on the bench, and they will forever be.
Yeah.
It's just covered up with the plate of their school's name.
Yeah.
I think, and I'd like to thank Charmaine for making that choice, because I think even though their names aren't visible, it will be a lot more useful to the rest of the students in the school. Than it would be to stand firm on wanting names visible and then not be able to have it go there at all.
Absolutely.
So I do thank you, Charmaine. I know you're watching, and I hope everybody else feels that same way. I think it was Ian that made the comment to her after the live that she discussed on this, and Ian said, well, everyone's going to know that their names are on there, and they're going to use it to help the students. So isn't that the reason why you did it? Or some wording of that, but that was the purpose
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to do.
Yeah. I mean, again, I can't thank everyone enough that either has sent me in pictures. I had anything to do with the bench from Charmaine and Ian making it to, I think it was Sky Painter, was the person that ended up having the company that ships, and then that was for free, and stuff like that. So I can't thank everyone enough myself personally for everyone that has just come together for the right reasons and done a lot of beautiful stuff for Jack and Lily. I got my bracelets on still every day. I got my keychains, got my little painting beside me here as well. And again, all in honor of Jack and Lily, and of course, just coming together as people and human beings, and just coming together for the sake of, these children that we don't know, but they gravitated to your hearts because of the situation. Anyone that has children, even if you don't have children, it's just so hard to even understand that stuff like this happens. Just poof, right? Because it's not just poof. Something happened to Jack and Lily, and it's really hard to stare at their pictures and sit there and have to every day realize that these two children were there one moment and all of a sudden gone, And like you say, regardless, the best case scenario is that the children are alive, regardless, right? Somewhere, somebody's home. That would be the ultimate situation, obviously, you know. Um, Realistically, no, but we don't have any answers. So, regardless, we'll all still hold out hope, even if you believe in the worst case scenario. You still want to hold out hope, just like Sebastian Rogers' case. Same thing. There's no answers. So there's nothing to let us know what the true answer is. So, you know, wishful thinking, hopeful thinking. Um, why not? Right? Until we hear otherwise, to be honest with you. Um, so, uh, Ken, I did want to tackle a couple things because there are some people that absolutely get really nasty. Now, I personally, myself, and I don't think you do as well, but I don't care what honestly anyone says about me. Like I have such a 1000% like freaking dragon shield against people's attacks. They legitly don't bother me. But you've been being attacked a lot for doing such good things for Jack and Lily. I want to touch on this because it does bug me, the fact of people are trying to say that you knew Daniel and Darren prior to anything, that I had you come on the live because of your knowing Daniel. No, and none of that's true. And all this hate towards you for all these, for basically saying that you got a new vehicle, that you're a scammer and stuff like that. Like these people exist, and I just personally ignore them. Like I had an email, a ridiculous email. I just sent back laughing emojis, and then I block the person, because honestly, it's so stupid that people have to sink to that level. But I just want you to touch on that because you have done, from when you started on It's a Crime and Shame, Kent was just somebody in the audience that lived in Pictou County, and it was me because he had knowledge of the area because he was talking in chat. And then I had asked him for a couple weeks, hey, if you want to join me up on a live. And when Kent was ready, he was ready. Just like when Belinda was ready, she was ready. Right. So he did not know Daniel or Darren. I can tell you that before this. Okay. Kent is one of the most genuine people. And that's what I so love and appreciate about him. Everything he does is with integrity and honesty. and he just puts his heart forward for people to slap it down. So I just want you to speak a little bit on that, because does it bug you that people are trying to tear you down with the donation side and saying that you're basically scamming and blah blah blah?
Not if they keep it about the case. It won't. We've seen the results of what that does. And Sue, I just want to say, yes, the Charmaine stuff is still on the back. As in a case last week, going back to when I changed my profile picture, which was a long time ago now, to the Jack and Lily Lighthouse Memorial that's in front of the RCMP. Someone came out last week and started attacking me on Facebook, left a comment. Now, this person, I believe, is a real profile because it's more than just the normal 3 or 4 things that you scroll down and then there was nothing before that. But this person got me to communicate with them by saying that Lily's name was still spelled wrong. And I said, yes, it is. We knew that. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure, but because I haven't been over, and I don't know if anyone else has sent me a picture since it was fixed. I said, but when I was talking to the RCMP, he had thought that the person that created it went and fixed it. I said, but I don't know if it is or not. But we do know that it's spelled with 2 L's. Well, when I responded to that comment like that, she just started hammering on me and saying, I want the name of your lawyer. You cannot open bank accounts in other people's names unless you have parents' permission. And I said, who said I'm opening it in a bank account in their names? I said, I'm opening a bank account in my name, but I'm putting money into it that is sent to me for Jack and Lily's awareness because of the fact of this is what people will do. And I said, when I get it set up, I said, and the money goes in there that Lana sent and everything else, I said, I will then post pictures of the starting account balance and stuff like that so that everybody knows what was in there. Well, this person just wasn't having it. And I had mentioned it in our chat, and Charmaine came in and she started talking. Well, she started the same thing to Charmaine. I want your name, address, phone number. I said, lady, I said, go to Sonny's channel. I said, there's several videos. They tell me I'm crazy, but I said, there's no different than putting my phone number out over the internet than having it on Google listing. So I said, if somebody calls me and they're talking to me crazy, I said, I'll just hang up on them, or I might talk to them crazy back, as you do when these telemarketers call. I like to have fun, so I play with them sometimes. And then when I come back, I'll just block that number. So what I like, because I know who I am, and if they're keeping it and saying stuff about me and connect it with the case and whatnot because they don't know me, then I can defend myself. And I know who I am and everything else. But what I did is I actually shared the post after the comments were starting to be made. And then my community came to my defense and said, it's obviously you don't know Kent. You don't know what he does for his community. You don't know that he's the most honest. And she was asking, and she said, well, if he's so honest, I'm just asking for his phone number and stuff or address. Why can't he give it to me? So about an hour later, I seen that comment, and I said, well, if you want my address, here it is. I said, it's no problem. I said, I'm not avoiding you. And I said, as long as you keep it about the case and the stuff that you don't know about me, I said, I'll respond to you. But if you start talking foolishness, so then I had friends that I went to school with and whatnot, and she said, well, I want to present him with legal papers, and I'm going to contact his lawyer to present his lawyer with legal papers and that.
Blah, blah,
So then
blah.
I have a few friends in the chat that are lawyers,
Yes.
and I had to laugh when I seen it because she private messaged me right after she left the comment, and she never said that she was a lawyer. But she left a comment. Well, what exactly do you want to serve Kent papers to Kent's lawyer for? You don't serve the lawyer, you serve him. And so anyway, she got off that bandwagon and left.
Mm-hmm.
And when she messaged me, I said, oh, it's good to know that my lawyer friends are sticking up for me.
Well, yeah, and I just find it so sad, right? Like in all honesty. And like Mike Damon too, it's like he's like, I want to know more about Kent. You know, I want to know more. Then he starts slagging the channel again, whatever.
And that's where I get,
But it's ridiculous. You
and
know?
that's where I like, all right, I didn't know that I was mentioned, because like I say, at first I was watching everybody's videos about Jack and Lily, and then it
Yeah.
just got too ridiculous. Like I say, the only ones that I watch now, besides yours, if I'm not on it or if I'm on it, then I know what we're talking about. But I watch Michelle's After Dark. She's pretty decent.
Yeah.
I talked to Dago, but he's not hardcore into the Jack and Lily. He's hardcore into the Idaho 4.
Yeah.
And that just gives me something different to watch. So a couple people, including yourself, have messaged me and said, oh, did you see that you were included in Mike DeMond's video the other day? And I said, no. So then I went to the timestamp that people sent me. And I said, oh. So I left a few comments on his channel. And I said, Mike, if you have questions for me, why don't you ask me?
Yeah.
So anyways, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
2 days later, which was last night, I'm just scrolling through YouTube. Who pops up in a live but Mike Demand? So I click. I go in and I said, hi, good evening, Mike. He said, oh, Kent Corbett's here. And I said, yeah. I said, why don't you talk to people and ask them questions? I said, before you make insinuations about them. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, oh, yeah. I said, my contact information's out there. I said, all you would have had to do was use one of them to get a hold of me. I said, I could have answered. I said, instead of you insinuating that to your viewers,
Yeah,
that I know Daniel, that I'm dating Janie, I don't think so. She's as old as my mother is. And other things like that. And I said, I could have told you those questions or answers. And so then he was talking about Logan, and he believes that Logan has a fake profile or something, and she was talking to him on both profiles. Well, then his chat room just lit up with questions for me.
I seen that. I ended up watching most of that part.
And I started answering them, and then he just left his video open for me. So I just took over in the chat. I didn't even just answering the people's questions. And he went and he walked around and did other stuff. He didn't get to talk. I don't know if he ended up talking about Logan before the video was over or not. Because once I was done, I talked until I think it was around 10 after 12. And I said, well, it's getting late here. I said, if anybody hasn't got any other questions, then I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on YouTube or on anything else, I wish these creators would, if they're going to talk about somebody, try to contact that person,
Just go to the horse's
like
mouth.
the media or mainstream media does. Like if they are in looking at a story or whatever, and they come up, it's the same as when
Jackson,
Lindsay,
stop.
the Globe and Mail, said go, like that she heard the rumor about the black car. Well, then she went and she talked to the neighbor. She never told us his name. She kept her source confidential, but she said that she went and talked to him and asked him different questions. Well,
Yeah.
I wish more of the online creators would do that, because some of the questions that people asked me last night, I just don't know where they get their information.
Well, so this was my point. And Jackson, stop with your insults, please. Okay, all your things are being insulting. So stop, please. If you can't be nice, please don't even be here. Okay. I mean, it's one thing, but you're just being ignorant with your comments towards Kent and stuff like that. Stop. Um. So so the reason especially that I wanted to bring this up is that, again, we are a non-bullshit channel. Okay, we are here to literally put out the facts, and speculation, that's totally different. Okay, but we're not here to try to BS anyone or put out false information, never ever on purpose. But my whole point to a lot of this is that if you guys want to ask Kent a question, he is right here on the lives. And for what, like, for instance, what Mike did, for instance, like, oh, like Kent, like, for instance, him saying that I brought you on the channel. Again, Mike, know your facts before you open your mouth about this stuff, because he said I brought you on the channel because of the fact of to get
He
closer to
already was
Daniel.
cozy with Daniel,
Yeah,
and when he
and it's
stopped talking to Charmaine, you were going to use me to
right.
talk to Daniel.
Right. So I'm sorry if I'm not feeding your channel all the stuff that you want. So now you want to slag the channel off, Mike. But I don't really care about you. Just let me make that nice and clear. I don't. What I care about is Jack and Lily. What I care about are, again, if you have questions for Kent, you guys are more than willing to ask Kent. Does he know Daniel? So I know from talking to Kent this entire time and how everything transpired. Kent is not a disingenuous person. He is so real, it's not even funny. He is so genuine. And that's what you want in people. You want people just to be honest and open and transparent. Kent did not know Daniel prior to this, nor did he see the kids, nor did he help in the search. Okay. Kent became aware of this case like anyone else in Pictou that day when he heard, through the buzz line about this case, about Jack and Lily missing. But my point is this: is people are trying to include you as if somehow you have this knowledge,
Connection to the family.
connection to the family.
Like,
And
I never met Jack and Lily. Like, that was another thing. Like, they said, "Oh, well, you knew Daniel, you know Malay, you knew Durwood." I didn't know, and like I said, I could have. Well, I did know of
thank
the Geddes family, but not Darren
you. Specific,
individually,
right?
because I know they were in the contracting business years ago.
Right,
But as far as any other connection directly to the family
right,
beforehand or knowing the kids, no. The only person that and he's not involved, but the only person that's connected to this case
yeah,
that I had a connection with beforehand is the bus driver, because I know
right,
him and I
right.
knew him for years. We're both in the same business, and he's hauled cars for me before, and I've hauled cars for him. So, like, where they come up with these other ones just for the
Well,
clickbait is
again, you know, we're here to be factual, not make stuff up. Simple as that. When it comes to stuff, we've talked to many family members throughout this case, brought in you guys tons of information. Does it make it true what's coming out of their mouth? Well, we know not to believe, and to believe or not to believe in what we're hearing, regardless, at all. But the thing that ticks me off is with this is that to even insinuate that you had something to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance, and then to sit there and think that somehow that you came on this live because I knew that you knew Daniel and stuff like that, and I wanted to get closer to you guys, is absolutely ridiculous, unfounded, and absurd. Okay, so again, you can either believe what's coming out of the horse's mouth, or you can try to somehow weave Kent, into this whole mix of Jack and Lily missing. That's so. Again, I've been speaking to Kent since pretty much almost about a week after something when this case started, when he started coming into the lives and I started covering it. So that's enough said about that part, because again, if people want to lower themselves in life and attack Kent for all the good work that he's done for Jack and Lily, that's a you problem, not an us problem. And we don't care about you problem at all. We want the people that are here to fight and bring a voice for Jack and Lily. Talk about Jack and Lily. Talk about our thoughts, even if they're different and stuff like that. But first and foremost, bring awareness and at least put out what is the facts about this. And Kent being involved with Jack and Lily's disappearance is ridiculous. People attacking Kent or myself, I don't care personally. Like I said, attack me, could care less. Literally zero care level, okay? But again, I mean, I just know that no matter what, it always bugs you that these people try to tear you down, and you've done so much. You have grown so much with what you've done with Jack and Lily's case. Like you're probably almost living it besides your sleep time. You're probably living every other hour, dedicating it to signs, to Facebook groups, to this bench and helping out with the bench and everything like that, getting that bench part. You've done so much, Ken, and I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure Belinda and others can't thank you enough for having such a beautiful heart and just all that you've done for bringing awareness or having to deal with situations from a fundraiser and money and stuff like that. So those bad people, the ignorant people in life, go ahead, stay ignorant. We don't care about you.
That's what I mean. They're not bad people. It's that they're ignorance.
They're either
like that they think that they know something without talking to somebody.
Yeah. But anyways.
And as long as I've been on this channel, right from the start, I said that nobody has the right to attack anybody else. Then people say, well, you're on there and you're talking about Malaya all the time. Well, Sonny and Charmaine are talking about Daniel.
And
so
Malaya.
I try to level it out. And I'm not blaming Malaya. I'm not blaming Daniel. They don't owe us nothing, really.
No.
But what they do owe us is to tell the truth to the RCMP so that they can solve the case. And the second thing they owe us is the respect that we're given effort to look for their children.
Yes.
More in the public than it seems they are themselves.
Absolutely.
That's what bothers me.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Somebody said something about, okay, so I want to say this. As for me, this is my personal opinion. That lady from Regina that said she's seen Lily, I call her a crock of shit. That's what I'm calling her. An absolute crock of crap. Okay, either she's delusional or she's inserting herself into this case. But as for seeing Lily, her whole story, so I'm not into the whole HOF channel and stuff like that. I'm not into the white van theory, but if you guys are, absolutely go to town on it. Whatever you guys want to think, right? That's what your opinion is. But that's my opinion about this lady talking about seeing Lily. It's ridiculous to me, her story. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even equate. So you're telling me that you're not even going to ask this child her name? And that you got all this. No, there's nothing about that story that makes sense besides a Cracker Jack. That's what makes sense to me.
Well, if they go back there now, we have posters posted in that park as of today.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Cheryl was traveling. She's going to Alberta. She's from Manitoba, I believe it is. And she was traveling to her son's in Alberta, and she stopped off at that park.
Perfect.
So
There you
we
go.
got it covered.
Yeah. You guys, for me personally, like I said, we all are going to have our own opinions, and ours could be left field, right field, it doesn't matter. We all could have our different opinions on this. Now, as for the documents, I've read those documents multiple times. And for me personally, I want to say this. Okay. Take out the lie detector test. Let's just take those out, right? Because at the end of the day, they're not admissible. Someone could pass them if they're lying, but we don't know the true answer there, right? Maybe someone did get by it. They were looking to do second rounds. Why they got canceled, I don't know, right? I'm not into Logan spewing off and Janie spewing off and Daniel spewing off anymore, because I already see personally, regardless of anything, and that's not to say that they did anything, but when I read those documents myself, there's nothing consistent about their stories. Nothing to me. Their mapping is all over the place. You know, people can keep making excuses for all this, and who knows, to me, but to me, there's still okay. Things like this don't work out this way when people are telling the truth. Are we going to sit there and literally say that Daniel can give a time of 9:09 that he fell asleep on Friday night, and yet and then people keep giving him all this what are we going to call it, leeway, that Daniel Malaya can't, okay, Malaya can't remember Wednesday in that particular thing. Okay, I get it, right? If truly sincerity kicks in and you're in a panic mode because two children are missing and you don't know what happened and all this stuff, um, okay, can you totally forget that Patty was your cash bank? Like, she's your freaking cash cow, okay? And you literally, Malaya, went over there that day, and okay, whatever. But you forgot Wednesday. But you forgot you did laundry. You forgot you went and got vape juice. You forgot you went and got a driver, your license plate number. You forgot you went grocery shopping. You forgot you used Patty's bank card the whole entire time, and yet you couldn't remember Wednesday at all. And you did all those things. I'm sorry. Again, all I need to I've read those the wording so many times, right? Between Janie, Daniel, Malaya, blah blah blah. And there's just no consistency at all in any of it. Daniel can't even remember what day was what, Thursday or Wednesday. At the end of the day, I just don't believe any of them. That's my bottom line. Now, does it still make them that they did something to Jack and Lily? No. But it definitely shows me that this whole case, I mean, my own feelings are my own feelings regardless. But as for Jack and Lily, you know, again, unless something happens in this case, and maybe by chance we'll get some more documents and they'll become unredacted, if that lawyer fights for more information, freedom of information for the Canadian press, which of course goes to the other news channels as well, you know, maybe. Maybe we'll get some more information. I know personally right now myself, you're watching Janie speak out, Durwood speaking out, Daniel speaking out more. They're huffing and puffing their chests up like, hey, you know what? Like, we're like, believe all this, believe all this, believe all this. See, it's all, no, there's a lot of stuff that's not there, that's redacted for a reason. But again, that's just my opinion, right? Of how I see it. And all I see is a bunch of, regardless of what you want to call it, BS, that they got, that they lack any sort of sense of timing. But I'm sorry, Daniel and Janie and all that, they can have certain times for certain things, but you're literally giving a specific time of 9:09 that you went to sleep. And yet all of a sudden your timeline becomes mush at certain points on, but just comes down to this for me. I'm waiting for the RCMP to do their job, find out what happened to Jack and Lily. Danielle Durwood can beef off and talk all they want and try to act like, like they're the king and queen and whatever of freaking these documents and stuff like that. Whatever. Who cares? The more they talk, the more people talk about them. And, they want everyone to believe that, all this stuff. And so be it. If it's true, it's true. Durwood, I don't really care about that way because, he wasn't there when Jack and Lily went missing. So this is Daniel, Malaya, and Janie, who were all on that property. So Durwood stuff is just side noise to me about it all. But, like I see them, going up into the chats now, using the documents as if they were solid and stuff like that. My personal opinion is I don't believe any of them. Okay, myself. And Kent, I know you think differently, because I know Mike said, like, so why does Kent think that 80% is that Malaya's side of the family took the children and are hiding them, and 20% that they're the other way? Go ahead and say your side of it, how you feel, which is different than mine.
Yeah, like, I know I said that before, but it's not that I 80% bleed Daniel or anybody else over Malaya. Is what I said is my belief, in my opinion. It's plausible. What Darren told us, is it 100% accurate? No. Because I know some things now, as he does, that turned out to be not true. But if in my mind that I want the children to come home alive, I think some sort of that scenario is the only scenario we have.
Hmm.
If they're not alive, I go back to my very first scenario where I think it was an accident, cover up situation of some sort, and they didn't want to, it was for self preservation and the family that they had left. And it's only one of those two scenarios. Don't matter which way we look at it. And from what all of you state, and we talk about the way Malaya reacts and has acted and her reactions, we all say that her reactions aren't proper for someone that doesn't know the
Yes.
end result,
Yeah.
good or bad. If
Mhm.
she truly had no idea of what happened to her children,
Mhm.
I think she would be panicked as everybody else is and be out there and posting different pictures every day because, like, everybody says, oh, well, you can't change appearances that much. Well, a few weeks ago, somebody posted it in the Facebook group, a different hairstyle in each one of them. And if you were just taking a quick look, um, I know myself, anyways, that's the only person I can speak for. I had to really look, and I thought they were just pictures of Jack and Lily. I didn't know that they switched them actually up. I knew something was different about them in the way they looked, but it wasn't until I really once I knew that they had switched them up, and I looked at it really closer to see what it was. I said, "Oh yeah, you can see the width of the mouth and Lily's smile. It's too big to be a 4-year-old compared to the little smile that was on Jack's face, and him supposed to be a 6-year-old." And that's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
I've been approached by different people and say, well, how come you're always talking attacking Malaya? How come you're always talking attacking Malaya? Well, we've heard from Daniel, whether we believe him 100% or 50% or
Right.
20%.
Right.
We've heard so many different stories from him. And we've heard, well, I would say one and a half, but give her credit for two appearances. The one that she made in an interview and the one that she was communicating with Sonny.
Mm.
But I still don't understand the fact that you have all these strangers out there trying to do whatever they can to help the family
Yeah.
find out what's going on, and yet Malaya's not doing nothing. Is Daniel posting pictures on Facebook every day? No. Is he doing whatever? No. Is he talking to the media, good or bad? Yes. So I
Yeah.
do give him credit for doing something,
I'll agree.
but I haven't, like, other than, and I think, I might be wrong when I state this, but I think the only communication with anything outside of her original interview is those few questions that she answered for Sonny. She's
Yeah.
not out there in all the different groups changing her story. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying, like I say, she doesn't owe it
Mhm.
to us, but
Shows it to the children.
she owes the respect. Well, she owes that to the children, but she owes us the respect that we're out there looking for her children. And it seems because of her reactions and actions that she's not.
Well, and I want to say this. Okay, so I absolutely agree. Like from outsider point of view, uh, Malaya's actions are just odd, to say the least. Um, and I literally question like both of them, to be honest. But what I would really like to see from the family members. Again, these are not our children, but we're covering the case to bring attention, whether you like it or not, good or bad. Suck it up, Buttercup, because it comes with the territory. Unfortunately, it just does. Okay, of course, speculation. People want answers. They want to know what happened to two beautiful children that day. But what I would like to see, instead of defending all these, things being said about them, who gives a shit anymore? Honestly, I mean, who really gave a shit? Well, from the start, people wanted answers. Absolutely. They want family members to talk. They want people to fight for Jack and Lily, right? They want the family members to fight for Jack and Lily. But instead of justifying all these stupid word games and of what Daniel said or didn't say anymore and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's old news now. But I would just love to see the family start meaning promoting about looking for Jack and Lily, for the help, not sit there and keep joining up and popping up in lives talking about, this being said now, this being said now. Okay, like for me personally, I'm over that stuff. I don't honestly at this point, I just don't believe anything besides believing that Jack and Lily disappeared on May 2nd. That I believe. And I believe that a phone call went in to, of course, report Jack and Lily missing. But instead of all this justification about defending yourselves, family, and I'm talking about Durwood, I'm talking about Janie, I'm talking about Daniel, talking about Malay, I'm talking about anyone else, okay, that wants to pipe up. Quit making it about yourselves and start really talking about Jack and Lily instead of, sitting there going, okay, well, I'm just going to go in this channel and I'm going to give an interview and I'm going to talk about, people are talking about the sliding glass door and people, it was never an interview about Lily and Jack. It was an interview about justifications. Okay. It's two beautiful children that are not our children, that you guys should be full force doing everything you can. So instead of making it about yourselves and defending these actions or non-actions, you guys know the truth of the matter, right? Daniel, Durwood, uh, Janie, Malaya, Daniel, you guys know the truth of the matter. You guys know in your heart of hearts at the end of the day, from your lips to God's ears, what might have happened to Jack and Lily. Or maybe you just don't. But you should be, again, making it about Jack and Lily and not always to defend yourselves about somebody saying this about you, or calling me names and all that stuff. Be grateful at all that people are covering the case and bringing awareness, right? And so for all these YouTube creators, whether you like them or not, they're still keeping their names out there, right? Bringing awareness. So let me just put them back up here. Hold on. My bad. Jack and Lily. And And the family members should all be fighting for the same thing, one goal. The true answers of fighting for Jack and Lily and bringing awareness. And as for Malaya, I just want to go back to that. Malaya is her. I'm torn. I get torn myself still, right? So although I don't believe really what's coming out of their mouths anymore and stuff like that, and who cares? Either they don't have to like it if I do believe them or don't believe them. Bottom line, but Malaya's actions of that as she's leave and what has she done publicly? She can justify it to herself all day long. But this feeling of what Wade said, in his, and obviously not supposed to be recorded, thing that Tint did, of course, is that he said a lot of things. He basically said that the children were dead and buried, type of thing. Like, go look over here, go look over there. He said that Malaya, and other people have said this about Malaya, that it's like someone that has two kids missing and there's no sorrow. There's not this feeling that of family members that feel like she's going through any sort of grief or pain. And maybe she is, but I'm sorry, her actions are that question. Malaya, do you know what happened to your children? Do you know where your children are? And that's just guesswork on our part, but her actions of not even being vocal, for her own children. And again, it never had to be about telling any information about what happened that day, but it was a matter of a mother fighting for the awareness of wanting answers for her two children. Before Daniel, okay, Daniel's the stepfather, so he doesn't owe it like Malaya owes it the same, because these are her children, right? That she should be fighting for regardless. So I just find it very strange from that side of the family that Cindy's not speaking out. Malaya is non-apologetic to talking 2 months later. And I'm sorry, but if you think that people aren't going to be sus of that, then you got another thing coming, okay? Because this is reality here. And this is two children that are missing. These are two beautiful children that need answers. So if you didn't do anything at all and have no involvement in the disappearance of Jack and Lily, get your ass out there, and you should be bringing awareness to your children and be advocating, instead of same thing for Daniel and Durwood and Janie and all that. It's like, pipe down with all this. I got to justify myself and I got to answer this and whatever. Just make it about Jack and Lily, that you want to fight for Jack and Lily, not that you want to defend your honor or your ego and stuff like that. So that's my piece on that, to be honest with you. Your turn, Kent. That was me preaching.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I say, that's all we ask, is for everybody that is out there trying to find the answers of what happened. Don't look at us as an enemy.
Exactly.
We are on your side. And I believe that if you go back to when the case first started, and I made several pleas to Malaya that if she would speak and take the advice of her lawyer, because she had one, take the advice of the RCMP and not say nothing that's going to harm the investigation process. But I made the plea with her that if the plan or the situation got out of control quicker than what she thought it would, then come out with that, and the people would have got behind her.
Absolutely.
with the supports that she needed and whatnot to get through the situation. So
Absolutely.
that was my plea. I believe I made that, if not every night that I was on your live at the beginning, definitely every couple times. Sue Warren, I did not know any of the family members,
No,
Darren or any of them.
he's already answered that. Yeah, he answered that
Yeah.
earlier. Yeah. And, Derwood's right here. I'm sure he can confirm that he did not know Kent. Have heard of the family, but didn't know Kent. And as for Darren, um, I know you're kind of beacon off a little bit, of course, in the chat and stuff like that and saying hateful stuff. Do you think, I just want you to know, do you think that your case is exempt, that Jack and Lily's case is exempt from people talking about speculation and stuff like that? Bottom line is, we're bringing awareness to Jack and Lily, right? Again, you don't have to like it. You come into this as a little fish in a big pond of sharks. This is what happens in all cases. There is nothing special about Jack and Lily's case that's going to exempt it from people having their own opinions, talking about Malaya and Daniel and including yourself and stuff like that. Okay, it just goes with the territory. And once you understand that and not taking it personally and not having an ego about it, right? And turning this into about Jack and Lily, because again, if it wasn't for the YouTube creators, you would get a little bit of content from the news and stuff like that. So instead of looking at the glass half full, why don't you look at, or sorry, half empty? Why don't you look at it like the glass is half full about all the good that these people are doing, including this channel for Jack and
But
Lily?
I think the problem that Darren has,
Me,
I think he's the big boy and he can handle himself.
not really.
But I think what his problem is a people, and like I said about myself being attacked.
Mhm.
If you're going to keep it about the case, that's fine. I'll defend what I can defend, and I know who I am. But
Exactly.
what Darren gets pissed off at, because he's told me, is people attacking his family members
That's different. Okay, but yeah, but
for what he's done.
that's his.
And he
That was
didn't think, or what he said, and he doesn't think that that's right. And that if they wanted to attack anybody, they should be attacking him as people did and interrupt him, but they should be leaving his family alone. And I agree 100%.
well, absolutely. But you know what? This is one of those things. Again, it's a situation where people don't understand the true crime community and what happens in it. And once they're in it, they're like, "Holy shit!" Like is what goes on and stuff. Yes, it is. We are not the news per se, right? We are
Yeah,
true
we're
crime.
rookies. Like I say, we're rookies. We have to accept that,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And I don't want to hear about respect deserved. Absolutely. But again, and many of you don't deserve any at all. Well, neither do you from what you've said as well, right? So you can all say it all you want, Darren. And your words absolutely mean nothing to me on that. Okay. I'm here for Jack and Lily first and foremost. I'm not here to play your stupid games or your word verbiage, your word salad towards me. Don't care. Why don't you guys stop exactly instead of hating everybody? Why don't you take a step back and start being thankful for everyone that's trying to find Jack and Lily and bring awareness to the case? Like I said, this case is not special to all the thousands of cases out there that happen the same way. So if you want to personally take it, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Honestly, I mean, I'm letting you speak, even though I know you have such a sailor's mouth and stuff like that going off all the time, and you're just very, I don't know, grumpy old man. That's the best word I'll use, right? But at the end of the day, like I said, why don't you stop worrying about always attacking people and stuff like that? You brought your family into this. Do you understand? We didn't. So when your family got attacked, you might not have been aware of what happened, and it's not right, Derwin. Not even saying that at all. What I call Darren, Derwin, whatever. Okay, but you know what? That's not the reality of true crime, and that's not the reality of the situation. Okay. Bottom line is either you push that stuff aside and you ignore it, or right, and make it what this is truly about, which is about Jack and Lily. Okay, not about the egos, not about anything else. It's about Jack and Lily at the end of the day. And if you don't like what I've said about you, and I don't like what you said about me, or you don't like what another channel, do not care. Okay. Again, the bottom line is we're here for Jack and Lily. Why don't you guys start making it about Jack and Lily instead of defending yourself? Don't you think after 4 months it's just really getting old? That's why I really don't care what you guys are saying. Again, tack me till you're blue in the face. At the end of the day, my family's not missing 2 children, are they, Belinda? Right? Belinda's doing everything she can to fight for Jack and Lily, right? And Belinda has asked Daniel to speak to her. Did Daniel really ever reach out to her? Mm-mm. But he wants to keep popping off in these chats all day long and stuff like that. Again, make it about Jack and Lily, right? Why doesn't Belinda deserve the proper answers, right? Why doesn't she deserve Malaya and that to reach out, considering she's the paternal grandmother and how much time that she had and stuff like that? That's the joke of it all, okay? So Belinda's doing it the right way, you know? And like I said, if there's no involvement at all, like I said, then you guys should just be simply fighting for Jack and Lily. That's all I got to say about that. Because honestly, it's boring. It's old listening to you guys anymore because it's not the focus of Jack and Lily. It's a focus of yourselves and saying about this and that, right? All anyone ever wanted in this case was the truth. At least the truth as much as you're willing to talk about. Not a bunch of inconsistencies or fabrications, you know, about where Malaya was standing and stuff. People just wanted the truth. I know, Darren, that you wanted the truth as well. And then it became about you took sides. You took one side. And then it became about Daniel and Malaya did this. And yet there's nothing to even show that. Malaya passed her polygraph too. So where does that leave you? Cindy passed her polygraph too. So where does that leave you? Right? So where does it leave anything? Right? If you guys are all telling the truth, then we don't know what happened to Jack and Lily and RCMP. Well, hopefully they'll bring answers at some point for Jack and Lily. You know, but all this hate that you sit there and want to spew and stuff. And so ever since those documents came out, now you're off spewing again. Well, why don't you do it for the good instead of for the evil or thinking that we're all evil, you know, because you don't like something I said and stuff like that. How about these 2 kids in front of your face? Remember the ones when we talked that you said that you just wanted to find the answers for Jack and Lily? But all I see is people defending it. For the money. Yeah, well, for the money. Yeah, okay. So that's my goal every day. But that's the sign of somebody that's ignorant, right? Anyone that knows this channel, I can make money if I want to. I work hard for my money. So if I get money from YouTube ads or if people want to donate now and again to this channel, they can because they're allowed. Again, if I was playing board games and people watched me, am I allowed to earn YouTube money or stuff like that? So if you want to be ignorant, like those people that out there that don't donate or talk like that, that's again a you problem. That's not a me problem. If you want to try to bring me down and say stuff like that, then that's it. Like I said, I don't care. You can say it till you're blue in the face. I don't absolutely give 2 shits because only ignorant people make that comment about making money off of dead people or murdered or the missing and stuff like that. How about the fact that all these caring people are covering cases for families so that they can assist? Okay. So as for that, no response. It's just ignorance. So again, you know, I'm not here for love bombs from Darren or Daniel or Malaya. You know, we just want answers for Jack and Lily. And then I seen another comment. Now, I'm not here myself personally for this channel. If people want to talk about all this white van stuff or this lady in, you know, Regina stuff, that's not, this channel doesn't believe in putting out stuff that they believe is bullshit. So I'm not going to talk about these so-called tips from some dead silence person that all these anonymous posters that want to somehow go, oh, there was a posting about a van here. There was all this stuff that was thrown out and clothes on this white van here. did we see anything about the white van in the documents? Is the RCMP looking into anything that's possible or tips that come in? Absolutely. But when I believe that something is bullshit, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to talk about it. There's other channels for that stuff, right? I just want to use the stuff that we have that we get from documents, RCMP, or family members. And if there's something legit that feels, and that lady from Regina, sorry, lady. I mean, honestly, did you just think of that crap that morning to make up and to try to spew it to us and stuff like that? Your story doesn't make sense at all. How would you never ask for the child's name? How would you never kind of record it or the license plate of this person and stuff like that? Okay, that one right there to me is like just a crock of BS that some person is trying to. Her voice sounds so familiar, and no, it's not Logan, but it sounds so familiar. Oh, which reminds me, sorry, I'm just kind of going on a little rant here, but that reminds me. So I noticed that Mike was talking about, so when's Belinda's interview? Well, you talk to her, don't you, Mike? All you have to do is ask Belinda. Belinda, do you know when your interview's coming out? Okay, let me give you the answer to that one. Okay, so Allie is putting a big story together. I did an interview. Who knows what all will show up in this? It's going to go on TV, radio, and Spotify or whatever like that stuff, right? So, but anyways, so that's when Belinda's interview will come out, is when Allie said that she works slower than some of the other ones because she wants to, take her time in doing it and make sure that they have everything that they want to put into that. So that could be a week from now. It could be 2 weeks from now. But that's your answer. But all you had to do, Mike, was just message Belinda, and she could have told you that she's not sure, or maybe in a couple of weeks or something like that. Because he was like acting like, well, I want to know why that interview hasn't come out. Why is it Belinda's interview hasn't come out? Why? Like, as if it was some mystery. Well, again, all you have to do is ask the horse's mouth, right, Ken?
Yep.
Yeah, then he could know everything about you. So again, going back to this, Ken, the white van thing. Let me just ask you, okay? Just to ask you, what's your feelings on this whole white van thing going on?
I've not heard anything credible
Nope.
addressing a white van. The first mention of the white van that I seen came from a couple psychics at the beginning, where they said that they picked the kids up, took and disposed of Jack in the woods, kept Lily, and drove on. And then the other mention, and the one where I think it really took off and was picked up, and I don't know how they got confused again, but there was actual media reports that in Amherst, there was a rumor of, or well, not a rumor, but a report of a white van that approached two young teenagers and tried to pick them up.
Hi, Joe.
And then the next thing that I knew, I heard about that they took Jack and Lily. And I said, what the hell? Like, listen, just because they're trying to pick up two teenagers doesn't mean that same van or color of van picked up Jack and Lily or has anything to do with what happened. Belinda, you don't believe me for what? I don't know if that's about Darren's story. Yeah, that's fine. I understand. You got to believe what's in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, if it was only on belief and I had no hope, I would say 50-50 one way or the other. But the only hope that we have of the children being alive, if there's a scenario where that could have happened.
You know? Mm-hmm. Um, Now, no more lies. I'm sorry, but Darren is asking for what he's getting. Totally. He is ignorant. He's rude. He's full of himself, and he can't get by his own ego at all. And that. So, like I said, Darren, you can spew off to me all you want, but no more lies. I don't care if people. He put himself in this position. He's got the big mouth all the time. I have a channel. Okay, and again, it's about the missing and the murdered. It's not about people's egos all day long. And if he wants to come in here and spew off his mouth, which I'm allowing him to, by the way, but I mean, I know who you are. I've seen your comments and different things, but honestly, what do you mean? Why are people attacking Darren? I mean, look what the guy's saying. I mean, honestly, this is like a madman that can't shut his trap, and he spews just hate all day long. And tell me, Darren, about accusations, because I've never accused anyone at all. I always use, in my opinion, or speculation. I taught you that, buddy. You were the one that come up here spewing a bunch of crap without any basis to it. So remember that. But at the end of the day, shut the fuck up and make it about Jack and Lily. How about them apples? How about you just do that? Instead of hating all the time, just make it about Jack and Lily. Okay? Talk about Jack and Lily. Make it about Jack and Lily instead of all of this coming into here, spewing off with your tongue and stuff like that. You know what? Like I said, go punch a pillow. Pretend it's my face. I don't care. Go do that. You're a bunch of no ones. Yeah, okay. I'm just going, you know what I'm going to do now, you big bad bully? I'm just going to block you because you know what? You're just a waste of air and a waste of time, and you're doing nothing to benefit Jack and Lily, to be honest with you. So kiss every piece of hair on my butt cheeks. Fan user, goodbye. I've seen enough of you now. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Okay, now that we got rid of him, you know what? I was going to let him have his say if he wanted to speak, decently. But no, that's just Darren. Can't shut his mouth worth nothing. He's just so spiteful all the time, And I honestly, like, I just find it all like ridiculous. And he really means nothing to me. But come on now, make it about Jack and Lily a little bit. Now, Ken, just to ask you, okay, so sorry. You were talking about the white van and you just don't feel like myself, right? There's no credibility. This dead silence person, whoever you are, troll, okay? Maybe you are someone that, like these people that keep wanting their freaking 15 minutes of fame. And this guy, from what I've seen of these messages, I ain't showing you guys some cryptic, stupid shit of messages on comments of someone that's talking like, go find, run, whatever the heck he said there. Okay. My brain cells don't need to sit there and waste my time on crap like that. So I'm not here again to waste my time on baseless rumors, baseless stuff, baseless Regina person that's talking out of her yin yang on that one. And it's just ridiculous to me. If you guys want to go down that rabbit hole and stuff, go right ahead. Right? I'm just not into stuff that I just find so far-fetched and ridiculous. And people that keep coming. So this happens, okay, you guys? People will come out of the woodwork, right? All this time later, pop up like popcorn, right? Because when there's not much happening in a case, this stuff always happens. And then these people start making up their little fake accounts, as if they have no life whatsoever. They start making up shit. People start buying it and stuff. I'm not into that. When you want to look at a case, you go to the start. You'll always stay at the start of the case and what was said, how everything happened, interviews and stuff like that. Once it starts getting into la la land here, right? It's just people making up stuff, creating accounts. And I'm not into that stuff. Okay. I don't play that stupid game. And that's just the way, like I said, for this channel, it's the way I run. Now, if you guys want to go sit there on Hidden in the Fog and something like that, when she does stuff like that, and talks about this stuff, go right ahead all day long. I'm just not interested in stuff that I find to be a bunch of BS. Why would I want to spread that information? Not going to happen. Cindy suing CPS. Well, I was going to say, Probably good luck with that one if that's true. We were told that.
What CPS?
Well, Wade said, I think that Cindy was, like that they were.
I know that's what he said, but my question is, what CPS? We don't even know which CPS has custody of Meadow yet.
Mhm. Kent, are there still bracelets available for people to buy? And if so, how?
Not yet. I told Lobster Man because he said that he had ordered some. We are getting the keychains. So those of you that ordered keychains, when we get them in our hands, the lady finally got them to Atlanta. Now we're just waiting for them to be sent to us.
Yeah.
We've sent out I think it was 2, maybe 3 bracelet orders. The rest we held on to once we found out we were getting the keychains for sure, because those people also ordered keychains, and we don't want to waste any money on, or as little money on shipping as we can. So for all the other people that have contacted me, and I told you the bracelets are coming, we have the bracelets in hand, but right now we're holding off until we get the keychains in hand and we can send them out together. Decals, we sent out quotes for locally because the lady that Lana was getting the decals made by, she got a couple weddings in the next couple weeks, so she wasn't going to have them done till the 2nd or 3rd week of October. So we just said, tell her to hold off, don't print any decals. And myself and Christine Henrig are checking out quotes on getting the decals made up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are with bracelets. We don't want to take any additional orders for bracelets until we fill the ones that people didn't get. If we have any left, we will sell them. And we've also got a couple things to see if we can order more, whether it's from the same company or another company.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, you can. And Mission. I'm sorry. This channel is not a channel that sits there and just repeats and repeats and repeats. But I want to say this to you before you make a comment like that. What is it you're doing? Are you bringing awareness to Jack and Lily by putting up their face on a poster? Are you doing that on live channels, stuff like that? So it's kind of ridiculous, your comment, to be honest with you. It's not just, we can talk about whatever we want. Go build your own channel if you want to talk about something different. But this channel is not about sitting there. That would bore the heck out of me, Mission. Okay? It would literally bore the heck out of me. But we're not just going to talk about something once and then go, oh, well, we talked about that. Check. Thanks. Not coming back to it.
Why do we think that there is no coverage on the mainstream media?
No, Sneak doesn't put up with shit.
Because they're not going to repeat themselves day after day.
Absolutely. Right. So pipe down with those type of comments. And again, if you're following Jack and Lily's case, be grateful for the channels that are following it that you can go to and spend time if you're very invested in this case, instead of making comments like that. Just saying, right? Are you helping the cause, or are you just promoting ignorance to it? Simple as that. Yeah, he's gone away where he belongs. He can go talk his butt off somewhere else. I used to doubt Durwood, but I spoke to other people who are close to what has happened, including Micmac, and they all believe Malaya had them taken, or her family took them out for their safety. Again, let's get to the point of, what shows that at all? What shows that, honestly? And at what point is, like, when I look at both, like, trust me, like I said, me and Kent might have difference of opinion in a sense on certain things. Kent is a very level-headed person. So it's not like I know he's not like sucked in by Daniel or Durwood. He just keeps looking at what he thinks is the most that could have happened, right? And he chooses to believe that the kids are alive somewhere because
And now I got some um what's the word? It's not contradictory evidence, but and oh, anecdotal
sure,
evidence on that. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say is anecdotal, because once again we in the groups and just on Facebook and on other channels, and I know some of it is AI and they're just going to repeat, but we still see people bringing up animals took them away. That is out of the question. I can guarantee you, and I know you're going to say, "Oh, well, now you're sounding like Dan or Darren," but I can guarantee you that they're not in the woods by wandering away and
no,
settling down for night underneath of a tree stump or whatever. If they're in the woods at all, and I mean this in all sincerity, and Belinda, I'm not saying this to upset you, but if they're in the woods at all, they would have to be buried enough that scavengers didn't find them in the 198 days or whatever it's been, 128 days or whatever. The reason why I say that, because, and that's within the search area or the immediate surrounding area. And the reason why I say that is because there's 10,000 vehicles a day, I would suspect. I don't know, I'm just guessing at the number, that drive the 104 Trans-Canada Divided Highway between Pictou County and Truro. I would say that there's at least that. Daniel and them live, and I haven't measured this, but I would say it's approximately, let's say, within 10 kilometers. I don't think it would be any further. If I can get over there one day soon, I will check it out, or I will ask Betty the next time that she does a sign delivery to check this information for me. So, and this is the reason why I say they're not just in the woods crawled underneath of a stump. Because there's enough vehicles running up and down that highway. And the summer that we had, within 6 weeks, the vultures would have been around in birds and circling the kids. And that would have been able to be noticed from the highway. So that's why I state that. I would think about that logically and say, all right, you have 2 kids that aren't buried or were dug up by scavengers that are exposed to the elements, and you're coming down off of a mountain, so you have the bird's eye perch, and you see 50 or 100 crows or other vultures circling in an area. Somebody would take a notice of that and report that area to the police, and the police would have been there searching. So that's the anecdotal evidence that I look at that has never been stated anywhere, but it's the natural occurrence of light. So if they're in the woods, they either have to be buried deep enough that they weren't detected and dug up by scavengers. They have to be outside of the original search area because the searchers would have found them. And the funniest thing that I heard on a video the other night was, oh, they were taking satellite photos, but all the leaves on the trees, now it's going to be so much better that they're going to be able to give better quality pictures to the ground. Well, I'm sorry, whoever it was, and I can't remember who said that. It might have been Susan's video. But May 2nd, spring hadn't sprung yet. It was pretty damn cold here. 3 degrees the night before the kids went missing. And they had satellite photos that didn't pick up any disturbed ground, because if there was disturbed ground, they would have recorded that satellite position and sent crews to search it. And the GPR, which is ground penetrating radar, didn't pick up any abnormalities under the ground. So that means, and like I say, I'm just saying, if they're in the woods, it's outside of the search area that was searched.
I agree.
And they have to be buried deep enough that scavengers and vultures didn't get to them. Just using common sense.
So, just to add to that, because, like I said, I'm sure you guys as well are all day long thinking about the possibilities of what happened to Jack and Lily. Now, just by my own thoughts, is that, first of all, I look at, like, if I'm thinking regardless, family involvement, right? I don't believe that they're in the woods. And if they are, and again, they're out of that search area, I believe so as well. Whether it's land or water, don't know, to be honest. Don't know. We don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. But if I'm trying to look at both things, like if we're talking about Malaya Daniel type of thing, and these theories of, hidden, and let's say that, like I said, that they're gone somewhere, not on this planet anymore and stuff like that. What I personally think is that when I look at the whole hidden, or you want to look at trafficking and all that stuff, so I know that there's a lot of stuff that's redacted in there, because they're not going to give you the cup of tea. They're going to give you a little dribble of the tea in that information that was shown. Most of that information is just, besides talking about some data being collected in certain ones that were redacted and the other ones that we saw and stuff like that. Other than that, those documents were just really full of Janie's, Daniel's, Malaya's, and some, other tidbits of information about statements, right? About their words. Doesn't make their words true, regardless. I don't care. Like I said, I'm taking out the fact of these lie detectors in there. What I'm still looking at is the information within that. And I'm just saying, for my own speculation personally, to sit there for me personally and think that all this digital data and cell phones and the geofencing of the phones that are in the area and all that stuff, to sit there and think, because we know that these people are not masterminds. I get that. They're not masterminds at all. but they're not the dumbest people in the world, and they're not the brightest, but they're very smart on their levels, right? Like, I'm sure Daniel is great at, working at his sawmill, and I'm sure that he's great at a lot of things that he does in his life. He would call what I would call more like the street wise versus worldly wise that way, right? So maybe he's a good wood chopper. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he could out chop most of you guys, right? Absolutely. But when I think about all the digital data and all that stuff that would be needed to literally hide these children and all that stuff, I can't, like, there's nothing that takes me there, that knowing that RCMP have so much more than we could even imagine with this case. Ours is a droplet of information compared to what they have and stuff like that. Now, when I look at, so that one is so far-fetched to me, but it's not like I don't think about it, but I'm just thinking about, come on, you guys, in my head, RCMP, you don't think that there would be a shred of evidence, of something that would lead them to this information? Who knows? We don't know what they know. But when I think about May 2nd, and I think about where they live in this rural home that has bad service in a sense. Now, I myself don't think that this was an intentional thing at all. I think, if anything, that it was non-intentional, but a cover-up is how, and that's just, again, if I'm looking at the different theories, I think that this isn't something where these bank documents are going to show all this information of, oh, I bought some pails and I bought some shovels and I bought some of this. No, to me, if anything, this thing happened that night, in a sense, something that wasn't meant to happen, but it happened, and then possibly the cover-up. Now, again, what really are they going to need? A vehicle of some sort, right? If something did happen to those children on that property, are they going to need to run to Walmart to get some garbage bags? Absolutely not. Anything would be there on that property. So to me, it's not like they have to be smart criminals to get away with something. You're talking about a very rural place that, at the end of the day, again, leave the phones behind, right? People shouldn't be that stupid anymore. And again, if you have burner phones, right, Daniel, stuff like that. But I'm just saying that this isn't something where you're going to have this big trace if it's accidental, okay? You're not going to have this big trace line of banking information that means nothing, and all this other digital information besides, if anything, right? They got tubs on the property. If they wanted to use tubs, they got a shovel, they got whatever, they got a rake, whatever. But this becomes about, if anything, transportation, right? To me. And so it's not like that there's going to be all this evidence if the theory of a cover up and accidental, is a possible answer. It's not like they're going to need all that. Again, it's just going to be really about disposing of, say, 2 bodies and, a place to, like I said, put them in tub, whatever, around the home, right? Anything that they needed. So it's not like there's going to be this, you're not going to need no banking information and all that stuff, because if it's accidental, it happened in the moment, right? And it's just a matter of leaving phones at home and driving off somewhere. So if that's what they got to work with, then that's not much, to be honest with you. If they've looked at phones and cellular data and all this stuff and nothing is equating, but that's how I kind of see this. Like, if it is an accidental cover up, then it's not like all that other information they need, because none of that stuff would have been required, because, again, but are they looking for vehicles that would have traveled during this time frame of 5 days and stuff like that? And what about the neighbor that said that he heard, and let's just get this straight, from 12 to 5 approximately 6 times. People keep saying this backwards, and they keep saying 6 a.m. and 5 times for the thing. So what the neighbor actually said, right, was that it was approximately 6 times, and it was between 12 and 5, okay? And the approximate time is about 25 to, say, 35 minutes per interval, okay? So if we deem it as approximately, because it could be 5 and it could be 6, but it was about 25 to 35 minutes of time according to the neighbor, right, that this travel would have happened. So, I just listen to everything regardless. Doesn't mean that it happened that way, but let's see here. So we got a really complicated way if we're looking at the fact that they're out there and hidden, right? And we got this really complicated thing that would take a ton of smart people to literally pull this off. All this data information of kids traveling, somebody has them, nobody's speaking, nobody wants that reward, all that stuff. Or we have a very simplistic perhaps theory, and I'm not talking about strange abduction or the woods, right? People can think that. I'm just talking about if something accidentally happened. Again, the past stuff isn't going to matter beyond that day. It's a matter of the stuff that would have transpired that day when you're in a panic and stuff like that, and you're just basically transposing a body somewhere, and all that other evidence won't really matter besides maybe GPS, what vehicle perhaps could have been used. And so I just look at the most Occam's razor still is the simplest line is usually the most accurate line when it comes to these cases. And so I believe in Occam's razor. Do I believe the kids are out in the wood somewhere, or were they scared off or ran? No, I don't personally. What I see is a weirdness of actions by the people on that property, mostly meaning Malaya, and of course, well, let's be a reminder of this. Belinda spoke to Janie on the phone. Janie said that she heard Malaya shush the kids. Whatever happened to that? That became that she didn't hear. So why would Janie say that to Belinda? That she heard Malaya shush the kids? Is that because, I don't know, this is when Durwood was in the storyline and placing Malaya near the road because he said that Daniel said, near the road, and that Janie came out of her camper and saw everything but a vehicle, taken off. What about the fact that Janie never told one person, right? At least outwardly, up until she did that interview. She never said one thing about making a pool for Jack and Lily at all. She said potholes to Belinda. She didn't say anything to anyone. Let me just clear that up again. She didn't say anything to anyone about making a pool and Reiki for Jack and Lily. So what's up with that, right? Is that so? If she heard Malaya shush the kids, she admitted that to Belinda. And then all of a sudden that becomes that she didn't hear them shush. I mean, stuff like that bugs me. Myself. But anyways, that's how I kind of see it. I'm not, the stranger abduction is so rare on this. Not to say it couldn't happen, but we're talking about the 1 percentile of these cases. So what's the chances, honestly, that the children start walking down the road, no dog scent picks up anything, air scent, none of the dogs, whatever, and that the children went down the road and stuff like that, and that one vehicle comes by. Now, I want to bring this up because some of you might have noticed it and some of you might not have noticed it. So you guys know in the scanner audio that 8 o'clock was said. Well, on the second document that Belinda sent, like Belinda had sent me originally like 4 different emails, and all those emails had the PDF files. But on one of the documents, they forgot to redact where it said that Malaya said they disappeared between 8 o'clock and 9:30, 9:40 or whatever it was. I think it was 8 o'clock to 9:30 was in the documents. Either way, 9:30, 9:40. But they forgot to redact that. So that's exactly where that came from. Now, if we're looking at what Janie's saying, that she's saying that she heard the kids, and in the documents it says like after 9. Again, if the children were truly heard by Janie, right? That's still regardless of that 8 o'clock, puts you still after 9. So again, they forgot to redact that. But so like I said, some of you, did you notice that? Well, I know I sent it to you. Because it's, you're looking for something, and sometimes they forget to redact stuff. Absolutely.
But the reason why I believe that they have 8 o'clock and 9:40 there rather than 8 and 8:30, as had been stated by parents, is they both were supposed to be sleeping. And I take it that the 9:40 mark is the mark when Malaya woke up, heard nothing, said to Daniel, I don't hear the kids no more. And they get up and they spent that 20 minutes running around the dooryard, checking the trailer. Daniel took off down the road, checking culverts or whatever, whether he did or not. But those 20 minutes is the 20 minutes from the time that she realized the kids were gone because she couldn't hear them until the time they called 911 at 10:01. So, yes, the last time family states that they seen them, and like I say, I believe that the documents backs that up. I was saying after 8 o'clock, so at 8 o'clock they were heard on the property. Janie said she heard them but didn't see them. Malaya said she heard them but didn't see them. Daniel said that he heard them and seen them, and that Malaya must have seen them too, or seen Lily too, when she stuck her head in the bedroom. But all of that, and then the RCMP had no other time except for the 9:20 when Malaya was able to confirm, I woke up, didn't hear them, we got up, we searched for them. We did that for 20 minutes, and then we called you guys at 10:01.
Mhm.
So I that's where I think the
Point for me.
confirmation of the documents does say that they were there after 8 o'clock.
Well, what I say is that,
As of 8 o'clock, I should say, not after.
again, these are their words, regardless.
Yep.
These are their words. But again, just to me, those whole documents just inconsistent still. Again, Malaya says that Daniel was sleeping almost all of the time between 6:18 to 9:40. That he was sleeping all this time. She never said any, like, meaning they're inconsistent. Bottom, like, how do you be sleeping?
But these documents,
They're just
and the
their
one thing that I have to ask people to remember, there's two things about these documents. One, it's the sugar cubes. It's information that was already out there. So they weren't really releasing anything. They were releasing the way things were said.
yeah.
And two, it was a month and a half old when we got them.
Yes, I mean that's true. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, what I've been watching, say Daniel do, is he's really feeding off these documents now. About, well, what would he say? Malaya said I was sleeping and blah 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 blah. Well, you weren't saying all that stuff before the documents came out, dude. You were telling a different tune, and you acted like you were the one. You said Malaya was asleep, type of thing, and that she didn't even like, right, even Malaya, right? It's like, so in the documents, you seen them, heard them, and yet she never said that once. She only said that, it's just all these things. At the end of the day, those are just their words. They mean shit all to me. Besides in comparison to what they've said anymore, like, meaning their words literally mean nothing. And that includes like Malaya's stuff as well. It's kind of like, well, okay, so what about Daniel? That you woke up because you said that you slept right through, right? Well, what about the fact of Daniel sitting there tweaking on meth all night? What about them apples? Because that was by two different people. And one was out of Malaya's mouth, according to Lana Hudobalida, and another one was out of another family member's mouth. So what's that? And that's from Malaya. Okay, so and saying that, so what happened with all that? I mean, obviously they're not going to sit there during their statement and go, well, you know what, Daniel was doing math and da 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 da. But no. What? So the truth isn't there. The truth is just what they want, what they wanted to say, obviously. And to me, um, all I see is, I'm sorry, I can't buy the fact that you forgot all of Wednesday. Cash cow Patty's over there. Sorry, Malaya. She might be a great grandma to you, but come on, how do you forget all those events that happened on Wednesday, but you can be very detailed? How can Daniel be very detailed about time, of the time that he fell asleep of 9:09? Right. So I'm not in for all these. I'm in for certain graces for people for forgetfulness or being in a situation where they truly feel like that they're in a panic or they're in some sort of time freeze because, all this is going on. But to keep thinking that all these people just have inconsistencies in this. And honestly, there's a program that I love that I started looking at the other day, Ken. I know it's called what is it? chatgpt.com. And I started plunking in all this information, right? Into it. I started taking all the documents and plunking it in there. And then I told it to give me a timeline. This thing was amazing. I didn't have to do crapola. This thing just spewed it in there. Now, what ChatGPT won't do is sit there and tell you that somebody's guilty. But it will. What I asked it to do was look for inconsistencies of what was said. So it would say the inconsistencies of Daniel, Malaya, and Janie, right? The biggest thing for Janie that came up in the information that I did put in, because we're just taking the documents, right, that only was about, the biggest thing for her was that Chat GPT picked up each time was about the fact that she couldn't remember if it was before 8:48 or after her brother's phone call. Now that one I can see having, not really remembering it that second that she's given a statement, if it was before, but obviously later on she would recall that it was after talking to her brother. Because obviously if she was talking to her brother at that 8:48 time and she knew that children were missing something, I'm sure her brother would have showed up instead of calling her at 10:19 when she did tell him, according to, the documents and the time on her phone and stuff like that. So that one I could absolutely have grace for that. Yeah, it's an inconsistency, but I can see that. What I can't understand is this game of what seems to be cat and mouse. And all we want is for family members to be vocal, to be the voices for their children, for their family members, to just be proactive in, instead of coming in and talking about, oh, this person said this about you, or this person said this about you, and blah, 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 blah. It just seems like kids in a sandbox, really, just kind of coming out of the woodwork to go, yeah, I just want to talk about this because, and it's just like, okay, but what about Jack and Lily? Like, it's so disappointing to watch what we're seeing happen in this case, right? You wanted truthfulness. Okay. Whenever you feel like there's not truthfulness, that means that there's cover up going on of something. But none of it matters to me. I'm offended by how simple-minded the media has taken us for some, I guess. Hi, there's Charmaine. There's a missing link, Kent, right there. None of it matters to me. Okay, I'm offended, sorry, by how simple-minded the media has taken us for. Well, for some, I guess. I guess they're not wrong, Well, that's why, Charmaine, is that when the interview was about how the true crime community can impact family members. And, I had said it to Belinda, and I also had said it to Lindsay. So when Belinda told me that Allie was interested in that, I was like, sweet, absolutely, I'll do it. Because I think it's important that the true crime community, regardless of what, Durwood or Darren says and stuff like that, the true crime community is a space that can give families places to go. Now, of course, you're gonna, like beak off like Darren. Well, go find a home somewhere else, obviously, but it's a beautiful place that family members can have to be a voice if they want, and that, we can cover these cases and bring awareness to the case regardless, right? I mean, it's all speculation. You know, again, Derwood, Darren, for you personally, nobody asked you to come out to the public on YouTube. Nobody asked you. You made that choice. And then you didn't like that choice you made once you realized the impact it was having. But it was nobody's fault, in a sense. You thought you were trying to be the do-gooder and come out, but how you came out was a whole different ball of wax. So how most people come out, to be honest with you, right? But the thing is that, again, true crime community, you can take it or leave it. Nobody asked you and forced you to come on and start talking about Jack and Lily that way in the manner that you did, right? Most people come on, sit on a panel, family members or something, and they just want to talk about the children, their child that's missing, da 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 da, and they just want to spread awareness out there. They don't want to make up a bunch of garbage, and start. And you guys are the ones that did that, right? Um, Darren has completely said that Daniel, it's from the information with Daniel and stuff like that. But you guys are the ones that integrated this whole speculation. Sure, did it get people talking? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the family members should be at the forefront of this, right, Belinda? Right? And should be at the forefront of this, fighting for Jack and Lily. And whether they're alive or not alive, the family members should be fighting for what happened to Jack and Lily. If they had nothing to do with it at all, then where's the fight? Kent, am I wrong in saying this? Because all I see is people defending their honors more so about, this being said and that being said. And it would just be nice if they would just turn it around and stop being selfish, stop making it about you. And somebody said that that your trailer was dilapidated or this and that and stuff like that. Who cares, right? It's Jack and Lily focused. And I just think that the family members, to me, what I'm
Yeah,
seeing, just not right.
if the focus is finding out what happened to Jack and Lily and or bringing them home, because I don't know if they'll ever come home to the same home that they came from.
Right.
If that is the focus, then definitely. And I see people in the chat, and I know I'm behind, but Norcraft, you're asking about neighbors and Lobster Man. Well, I'll tell you something. Property records in Nova Scotia are public. So if you're so concerned about knowing the names of neighbors, then you know the address of the property the kids went missing from. Go to the municipality of Pictou County, property records, search up that address. It'll give you boundary lines of that address and the registered owner. And the adjacent properties, you can work your way out like a spiral, and you can see all the connecting properties or all the properties. And like I say, you have to go, I would think, because you're working blind to start with, except for the home point, you have to go to the next property and see the different PIN number. You click on the PIN number, and when you click on the PIN number, it will bring you up the registered owner. So for anybody that believes that other than family members are involved in this on either side, and that it's neighbors, go do a little homework. And you'll be able to find, like, that information is public. You don't have to request it. All you have to be doing is be willing to put in some time, and you have the address, or you can find the address by going to any media report and getting the address for, I think it's 1407 Gairloch Road. So type in that address, it'll give you a PIN number, and when you click on the PIN number, it'll then give you the registered owner. So then you can look for the next adjacent PIN number, and then you can find out who that registered owner is. And you can keep going for the whole province of Nova Scotia and work yourselves to the shore if you want to. But I just don't think that that's the case here. I don't believe any of the neighbors are involved. The closest neighbor, or the closest dwelling on either side of Daniels and Nurse property, we've already learned that the black house is vacant. And on the other direction, we've already learned that the white farmhouse, the people only come home for a couple of weeks in the summertime. So a vacant house can't pick up two children, and neither can a farmhouse that nobody's at. So the closest neighbors is the one that we were talking about that supposedly heard the black car. There is one neighbor on that road between because he's supposed to be the second house in on the left on the dirt road. And there is, if he's the second house, then that tells us that there is one other neighbor between them. But other than that, like, this isn't property where you got houses next door to one another. So to say that we don't know the neighbors' names, like, it's not that if you wanted to do the work, you could find out.
So you don't think any of the neighbors could have any involvement in it, and any spite or anything, or no?
I'm not saying that they didn't call in tips or whatever or anything like that, but no, I don't believe neighbors are involved in the kid's disappearance. No.
I still think it's a possibility, where in the scale that is. But, like, would I rule that out myself?
I think it would have to be a by chance abduction, which would mean someone driving down the road and they're out there standing thinking they're catching the bus.
So let me
I would
ask,
think it would be that before it would be a neighbor involved.
Right. So let me ask you. Okay. Like, so Malaya's test, and I think I know what you're going to say, but Malaya's test came back truthful, let's just say. So did Cindy's and Wade's, right? And their questions would have been asked about anything to do with taking them or disappearance and stuff like that. So, like, so what does Daniel have his basis on? So we're supposed to believe that his is truthful and that Malaya still and her family still have these kids, even though Cindy, Wade, and Malaya passed. Like, if we're gonna go based on what the polygraphs for that. So
we only know that they passed on the 4 questions that we think that they asked, and they want us to know that they passed.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it, we don't know what was asked.
Well,
do I believe that there was only 4 questions asked? No.
Well, I mean, Belinda already said about Cody, right? About, it's more than 4 questions, but like the baseline was kind of like, they ask you questions, like basic baseline questions, and then they ask you to, 4 questions, and then they ask you kind of to lie about the same 4 questions again and stuff like that. Now, I'm still curious about, Daniel made the comment that they were flying somebody in, right? That was told to him, that they were flying someone in. So what's up with that? Obviously, they didn't fly anybody in.
Well, they might have flew them in, but they could have been, like, they could have flew somebody in from New Brunswick, or, like, I don't know. Like, I can't speak to how many officers do I suspect that there's one in Pictou County that can do a lie detector.
They're going to fly somebody in. It's going to be one person, you would think. They're not going to fly 2 people in.
But that's what I mean. They might have got one person from Halifax, which would have drove. because they said they all were tested by different people. So if they were all tested by different people, that means they had to have 6 people to do 6 lie detectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen, just quickly,
But
Karen.
I want Teddy Bear to tell me what about my theory is utterly ridiculous. Because I don't understand why, if she's talking about me thinking that they may be alive.
Well,
Like, I'm 50-50 on that. And like I said earlier, but it's my hope
I know it's your
that
hope,
increases that percentage.
but it can't. If Malaya and Cindy and Wade pass their polygraph test, so what basis does Daniel have a leg to stand on about Malaya taking these children, or that Cindy was involved? There's no leg to stand on with that. That's like meaning if people want to believe, like, I mean, obviously, there's people that can pass a polygraph, but are we going to think that honestly that all of them are going to, fail? Maybe someone that to me, like Daniel, that's more of a narcissist can pass to me, but at the end of the day, and maybe he's being truthful for all we know, right? But at the end of the day, if 3 people that they've deemed to be truthful, and with obviously 4 questions for Daniel, Malay, and whatever, but meaning, but where does he have a leg to stand on about this theory anymore? Like, who do
Well,
you think then?
my theory has evolved, but I don't want to say part of it because the first thing that you do is you get in trouble because you're saying you're blaming Indigenous, and then I'm definitely not saying that. I don't think they're necessarily on a reserve. I definitely don't think that there's a band, reserve council that would hide the children in any way. I've said that many times. That was one of the things that I disagreed with Darren on. But I don't think if it went down and the possibility of it going down, because DT talks about that there has to be communication. I don't think there has to be any communication after the fact that Malaya was by herself with Meadow and communicated something. That's the last part of communication, and if that was done in person, then there was no, because I don't think it was necessarily planned. And I don't think that Malaya was the one that took them out, if anybody took them out. Their alibi is that they're both sleeping. But if a scenario in that case happened, all Malaya would have to do is she was supposed to be in and out sleep, in and out of sleep, would be just to wait till there was quiet.
But
And if she waited till there was quiet and then waited another period of time, then she could have woke up at 9:20 and said, all right, enough time has passed. Not even saying that she knew who that was coming. I
doesn't
can't
make
say
sense.
that. I can't insinuate that Malaya, other than believing what she was doing was saving her children from whatever she thought she was in.
Well, that's just it. But that's just it, right? Malaya, Wade, and Cindy all showed to be truthful, regardless, right? Whether it's true or not, those are the ones that are said. There's nothing here. So, like everything that's been said from the whole missing side is that Haley took the kids, that friends, someone came in a truck, but everything that Daniel and Durwood have claimed is everything to do with the Murray Brook. Do you honestly think that all these people that Cindy, if they had knowledge in Malaya, would have passed? All the three of them would have passed a test if they didn't have some sort of knowledge of the children being taken. Like that just seems like,
If they weren't involved,
why would
could
they
you
not be
answer?
involved?
If you're not involved, could you truthfully answer that question?
Well, how would you not be involved? That's what they're claiming. Who else do you think? But that's what I'm saying. So, do you think someone just randomly came along and said, "Come on, kids, come with me," and that? But the whole basis of what they're saying is that they're hidden on a reserve, that Malaya and Cindy had everything to do with it, that her family members know and stuff like that. So that just seems like to the line of absurd then, because there's no basis to that at all. So who else would have picked up these kids that Malaya or Cindy and that didn't know, and for some reason just came and picked them up from the goodness of their hearts to protect them from CPS, that Malaya or Cindy and that wouldn't have known about?
I can't make accusations, so until the evidence proves it, is it possible?
I mean, you would have to clearly say that somebody, unbeknownst to Malaya, Cindy, Daniel, and whatever, just came and picked up the kids for protection.
I don't know if it's unbeknownst to Malaya, but I'd just say that she was laying in bed, not involved in it. So yes, she would have knowledge, I would think. But what I'm saying is, even though you have knowledge of it, if the questions were you involved, could you pass a lie detector on that? I know I couldn't.
Well,
My heart would be panicking the moment I stepped in the room.
Right, and you might fail every question because it's like Janie's. But at the end of the day, I already did show, when I had done this like about a month ago, where it did say that, depending on those 4 questions, like if it was 4 questions asked, that they could still get away with being truthful, but still had something to do with the disappearance of the children.
Yes,
right?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because the lie detectors aren't perfect. It's the same as we were told that Daniel's 4 questions were only around the death of the children.
Right.
I believe that they were probably asked, did you kill Jack? Did you kill Lily? Did you do anything to their dead bodies after they were dead? But if you ask those 3 questions directly, trying to think of a 4th question or even a different way of wording the 4th question around his involvement, like, it's hard for me to think of another question that was to the point and to the death of the children.
With everything
and the same questions, in my opinion, would be asked to Malaya in regarding the disappearance, because that's what accusations were being made shortly after the beginning of the case. Definitely by the time that Malaya took her polygraph. Because we had the date. What was the date for Malaya's polygraph?
The polygraph. I think it was
June,
like 12th or 10th.
Yeah, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So I know by that time that Daniel had made a couple of accusations.
Yeah.
That Malaya could have had the kids picked up.
Again,
I don't think Wade and Cindy are involved.
No.
like my own beliefs and my own speculation is
Right.
whatever happened to these kids on or from this property,
Yeah.
and they both know because they both tried to create alibis for one another, but
Right.
they weren't strong enough rehearsed
Right.
to keep the information accurate
Yeah.
to not create the inconsistencies which caused
Right.
them the problems the moment they were separated.
Right.
Like if they would have been able to stay together,
Mm-hmm.
and each day they could have said, "Hey, you almost flipped up today when you said this." Oh yeah, but since they were separated on their own accord, the second day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh yeah, like I mean, regardless, the whole thing is strange. And again, it all I see myself is information that is inconsistent, and it's like again trying to have some sort of story, and it falls apart, and there's no consistency in these statements, in the wordage that Daniel's been spewing, the pink blanket, all this stuff. It's weird, it's strange, and I don't believe for 1 second myself that it was something, regardless how it wants to be looked at, whether the kids somehow somebody picked them up, however you want to deem it. To me, it goes to the property, and it's again, if something tells me something different, but when I look at the myself, like just regardless the big whole circle of it, what we've witnessed, what we're seeing, all this stuff equates to not being truthful. Whatever that is about not being truthful, that's for you guys to decide. I have my own personal opinions. You guys know that. But to me, I'm sorry, I do not sway from, like, I mean, obviously I'm always still trying to look at all the information, but I don't like, I'm not, for me personally, I'm coming through your speaker, buddy, on there.
I
Um,
had it against my
So-
chest for a minute.
someone said it was Derwood in the background. No, okay, I'm sure Darren's not sitting there chugging back a freaking thing of coffee behind Kent right now. Pretty sure
I'm
that.
laying in my bed watching the Blue Jays game.
Oh,
They're
right. Oh, you
back
are.
to
Yeah.
back.
Sorry, were you saying something?
I said they're coming back again. They're comeback kids.
Oh, okay. I'm a Blue Jays fan. So if I buy a shirt, it's always the Blue Jays. So go Blue
They're
Jays.
just up 2-1 in extra innings right now.
Oh,
Two of
okay.
them.
Yeah. Um, but so at the end of the day, like I said, for me personally, there's nothing that's taken me away from that property. Um, and the inconsistencies, the pink blanket thing, all this, all this weird shit going on. Okay, this is too strange for it to be normal, and when it's not normal, it's because lies are happening, and that's what I see. I can't, like, again. So it's kind of like, for me, I could just keep spitting my thoughts in circles about the same thing at the moment. Like I said, Daniel can sit there and preach all he wants about, well, read the documents now and do this and do that. And yeah, I got brain cells too. And there's nothing consistent about your guys' stories whatsoever. Still, it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and it's got your guys' statements, regardless. And again, all I'm going to say to those family members, any of the family members that are listening, besides Belinda, I'm going to say to you again, quit talking about all the stuff that you're trying to clear up about yourselves. Get over it. All right? Just get over it. But you guys keep wanting to come out here talking in chat about stuff like that. You guys aren't giving a shit truly about Jack and Lily at all. It's not our job to do your job. It's your job, because you guys are the family members, to do something about the being voices for Jack and Lily. So I just get a little bit perturbed now watching that these documents, and all I see is Daniel say, you know, telling telling people to shut the f up and stuff like that, and then he makes a KFC joke right in the middle of DT saying, "Okay, jerk off. Listen, okay, my two children aren't missing. And you're sitting there making a KFC joke. You, Janie, and Derwood all there puffing your chest out, acting like you're speaking the truth and stuff like that, and that you only speak the gospel truth. And you guys are acting like complete morons. Like literally, make it about Jack and Lily instead of sitting there always just trying to defend yourselves. I just, it's just boring now to me. So whatever Daniel says, dude, you've already been inconsistent for 4 months. So, why do I even give a crap what you say anymore? Just more inconsistencies to put together. Janie wants to spew that she's talking the truth and stuff like that as well. Derwood wants to come out and with his mouth saying that Janie almost committed suicide because of my words. Like, shut the F up. Seriously, I'm not in control of somebody else's actions or thoughts. But to even spew that stuff in somebody's channel, who's the pathetic person here, honestly, to say that stuff? Why don't you focus on Jack and Lily and what you're doing for them? Because all you're doing, like, do you not agree, though, that all we're seeing is them keep telling people about Malaya's, got sniffy shirts to smell because she misses Daniel? What about Jack and Lily? Why don't they just keep the focus on that? Like, do you agree that it all just seems like they're just defending themselves against words against them? If you truly care about Jack and Lily, who gives a shit what people say? It's going to happen anyway. But do you agree, Kent? Because that's what's bugging me a lot, is that it's about themselves, not about Jack and Lily. And that goes for a lot of them.
Yeah, well, it's going back to my point that strangers are out there doing more involved with the case than the people directly with the children that day.
Yeah, that's how I feel personally. It's just kind of like I said. They're not our children, and yet we're covering a case because an impact of two beautiful children that deserve answers and stuff like that. I'm not the one that has to wake up going, oh, I know what I did, or I know what I didn't do, or that there's two beautiful children missing, and stuff like that. You guys do. So where's the care level about, being Jack and Lily focused? Oh, you know what? And again, there's channels that have said a bunch of stuff in regards to Malaya, Daniel, Janie, Derwood, and stuff like that. Honestly, but hey, if they want to target me because Derwood doesn't like me and stuff, I don't care at the end of the day. Anyone that has any involvement in Jack and Lily's disappearance, and if it is for any family members and stuff like that, again, I'm just going to pray that karma comes and bites you in the ass and you reap everything that you deserve. And if you didn't, so sad, then maybe you should have just been truthful along the way instead of this inconsistent bullshit. So you can't really blame the public for sitting there having questions about these weird actions and inconsistencies. You can't blame
Daniel already told us how that feels.
Pardon?
Daniel already told us how that feels.
Yeah, absolutely. But
right?
you know what?
Everybody in town looking at him.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? If it comes out that something nefarious happened with these children.
Yeah.
I don't care if they go to jail for 5 years. If you come back here, you're going to be.
Well, they were still responsible for protecting those two children. And if they were inside in a bed, both of them, while these two children are outside with bears around and stuff like that, and, but you got your wrench on the door, don't you? But who cares? Because we're just going to sleep and whatever. And Jack and Lily are just going to play outside and do what they want. That's you guys did that to Jack and Lily. You guys are the reason that Jack and Lily have disappeared. No matter which way you look at it, you guys 1,000 billion% are responsible for Jack and Lily's disappearance. Now, some people keep saying, Kent, about, like, why haven't they been charged with, a neglect and blah, 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 blah,
There's no charges yet, not even on Meadow.
No,
I see a couple questions about does Malaya have custody of Meadow. That's not the battle right now, folks.
nope,
The battle for Meadow is what CPS system is going to deal with Meadow. Is it going to be the Indigenous CPS as they petitioned for
right,
it to be? Or is she going to stay in the Canadian PCS system?
right.
That's
Yeah,
the battle that's in court right now.
that's correct.
Nothing will be decided upon what parent she goes back to,
Right.
if any, until this case is solved. So if
Absolutely.
you're thinking that the custody case right now in court is, and I know there's been gag order on it, and no one has told me, but I know from the first time that was the two sides.
Mm-hmm.
It was CPS and Canadian CPS. The judge has got to make a ruling on who he's going to give the jurisdiction to, and then start the custody battle between
Right.
Daniel and Malaya.
Right. At the end of the day, children are gifts. They need to be protected. Obviously, you know, people make mistakes, and children end up dead in pools, or they get abducted. I was just watching a thing yesterday, to be honest with you, on an old case for, I think her name was Barbara Jean. Can't remember the last name, but anyways, it was one of those things. The stepdad was inside. She was out in the front yard playing, would keep peeking her head in, and then, next thing you know, he goes out to look for her because she hasn't peeked her head in, and she's just playing in the front yard, and gone, right? And the stepfather spent 28 years in prison. And yet there was nothing to show that he did anything. In fact, it was opposite, but DNA evidence comes forward and stuff like that. And his DNA wasn't on it, but that was back in the day. We're talking about 1985 area, 88, I believe it was, and stuff like that, right? I mean, things can happen. But again, I would not, like, personally for me, and I don't want to, throw blame on this because each to their own on their stuff, right? Usually you feel like your children are safe within their own vicinity of their home. You're not thinking that somebody's going to drive up or take the children or something like that, but yet it happens. Stuff like that happens. I never would ever, ever let my son out of my sight outside. It's just the way I was as a mother. It was my job to protect him. Now, did that stop him from falling off a slide within 5 minutes of getting to the campground? Nope. And that's because I thought I trusted my niece, who was older than the other children, that Matthew was just fine. It was just a small little slide, no bigger than 4 feet tall. And he looked over. Next thing you know, he's got a green line hair fracture, like within 5 minutes of getting there. I was very overprotective. Maybe it's because of the incident that happened to myself and my siblings, what they call a paper bag RAPIST, right? That's actually what made me a very protective mother. Like, meaning that would have definitely added to it. But this yard that we're talking about, this ain't no small yard. This is a decent sized yard. To think that the children could go out and play in the back, but it's a difference though. They can go play in the back, but are two people really going to be in a bed asleep and, while these two children, it's one of those things. Like, let's just say that they were taken, but it's one of those things is that everything's all fine and dandy until something happens, right? Type of thing. And that's the way it is that you might let the children out there play all the time without supervision, because that's exactly what happened with these children. I can guarantee you, or Janie was watching them, as she said, because she would hear them and probably maybe kept their eye, could hear their voices and stuff like that. But then, like I said, something happens, and next thing you know, right, it's like, oh shit. And then now it's 4.5 months later, pretty much, and no sign of Jack and Lily, no answers for Jack and Lily, And all I want to see is the actual family members be proper voices for Jack and Lily. Is that too much to ask? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Anything different for me is I just don't understand it at all. I mean, children are, how could you look at your children every day and not want to protect them and care for them or fight for them? You're going to do that, Like I said, Daniel might be out there the most for sure. Just too bad he couldn't stay consistent in any of his words and stuff like that, and just his weird actions as well, But I don't know. All I know is I don't know shit about what happened to Jack and Lily. And whether I'm right, whether you're right, whether I'm wrong, whether you're right or wrong, doesn't, bottom line is something happened to those two beautiful babies. And the people that should be talking about Jack and Lily the most are too busy to me. Either not talking or they are talking and they're too busy again justifying the stuff that their inconsistencies and stuff like that, or trying to go, I'm telling the truth, da 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 da. Nah, sorry. Jack and Lily deserve more, and they deserve more from you guys. Karen, are you really Daniel? Daniel just comes in as himself. He might have another account somewhere. I don't know. Could care less, to be honest with you. I don't play these Facebook name games and stuff like that. They are so not interesting to me. I don't care if Logan's underneath or a different name on a different Facebook talking. A lot of people do that. They don't want to put them real selves out there sometimes, and sometimes some of them do, eh? I can't see. Do you think Daniel has a secondary account that he logs into? And he could. I mean, but...
Could, but lately he's been communicating with Daniel, so...
Sorry, say that again?
I said he could, but lately he's been communicating in chat with Daniel.
Yeah, I mean...
Like on the Drunk Turkey.
Yeah, Jeannie comes
in there. And I know
there.
that show's friendly to him, but...
Yeah, who knows?
He's still communicating with Daniel.
At the end of the day, if people want to make a joke about it and have these fake facades of names and pretend like there's somebody, like in the Brian Koberger case where he presented himself on Reddit as a different name and stuff like that. Again, these are games that you're playing at the expense of two children. Why don't you just do what's right?
It should be illegal.
Eh?
It should be illegal.
Honestly, yeah. I'm not into Facebook drama, stuff like that, you guys. I'm sorry, but this channel just is not into playing these games of ridiculous absurdity. If I don't want to...
No, but like on all social media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like if you wanted to stop keyboard warriors, it's not going to stop them 100% in their tracks.
No.
But if you wanted to slow a hell of a lot more of it down than what they do now.
Yeah.
Because where the regulations around Facebook and stuff have changed, like Facebook wasn't too bad until Trump told them they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So now they don't need to verify anything, same as Twitter. They don't need to verify anything before they post it. So that's a difference between them and mainstream media. Because mainstream media, they get to keep their sources confidential, but they can't put out lies.
Yeah.
Like they can't say that this place is on fire when it's halfway across the province. And someone can on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So I think if everyone that used the platform had to speak under their real name, they may be a little bit more responsible in what they say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then sadly, like I said, I could block someone here. They could just go switch their name, come back in, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. This internet is absolutely a wildfire of good and bad. But I just think that, yeah, like they should do something like whether it's allowing, you know, so many IPs, because obviously they can control you like through your IP, to because if, like I said, if they want to, if YouTube wants to block you, man, or something like that, or a company, just block their IP. See you later. Good fight. Good fight trying to make it. And you'll have to get a program. But that's the thing, right? It's actually, I don't even want to get into that because you know what, Ken? At the end of the day, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah, no, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like that's where like anything that I state, I'm stating it behind my name,
Well,
so I'm
I was
putting
going
my
to say,
name out there, right?
absolutely. Just, same thing, right? Sonny Austin, right?
Yeah.
Kent Corbett, you know, we're not hiding behind a name and stuff like that. But anyways, I know it's getting late for you.
Yep.
Charmaine, they can sure spin it though. Can't Trump doesn't run X or Facebook, so just
No,
Charmaine.
but his best friend does.
Yeah.
You don't have to run it. It's just if you take the regulations off them, it's the same as whether it's the CDC or the Bank of
Mhm.
America or whatever it's called, the Fed. If you take the rules, if there's no rules around what you can post, like I remember when there was a quite a few of my friends.
Oh, politics.
No, to stay away from the politics, but it would be whatever they'd be talking about.
Uh-huh.
They'd end up in Facebook jail,
Oh, I know.
right?
Oh yeah, Facebook.
Well,
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody going to Facebook jail in a couple of years' time.
Oh, I have heard a couple.
No, like I say, I think it's the platforms that have to control their products. That would be the same if a car made a car that had absolutely no brakes. Do you think the car company would be able to sell its product very long?
Mm.
And I know this isn't selling it to the users, it's selling it to the advertisers that are being directed to the
All
user.
about money, people. Remember that.
Yeah.
It's all about the money for these platforms and everything. Oh, that's their bread and butter. Is ads, revenue. It's too bad that this world is so focused. I mean, it always will. Nothing's going to change about that. It's too bad.
No.
Except for Derwood's going to be like, Sonny, yeah, you're just doing this for the money. Nah, nah, nah. Anyways, let's see here. So, um, okay. So the next live will be when Charmaine will want to do a live, but it can't be on Friday because Friday. So Bev is starts her new job. You guys, Bev from Crime Courtroom Confidential. The thing that sucks about her name is that whenever you pull it up, you'll always pull up that other channel called Crime Room Confidential. It's
No,
irritating.
just courtroom confidential.
Yeah, but if you put in Crime Courtroom Confidential, like to sit there and find Bev's channel and stuff like that. But anyway, so Bev is fine. So I meant to say that to somebody earlier. So Bev is fine. I've talked to her each kind of night on an email, and so she starts her new job on Wednesday, and so she's gonna let me know because I love Bev, very logical, has so much information between being a lawyer, a child protection attorney, lawyer, such a nice level-headed mind thinking. And that's what I love about her. She's a great lady. If you guys haven't subbed to her, like, let me get that for you, okay, you guys, because she really has very nice with credentials up her yin yang of being a prosecuting lawyer,
Are you guys on Friday?
a
What time are you guys on Friday?
well, it depends because Alexa told me I can't do Saturday because my twins, that's my last day I've seen my, so I'm trying to figure out because Alexa, which is the criminal profiler, and Bev, so I'm just trying to kind of see because Bev doesn't know just because her new job starts as the crown prosecutor or whatever her title is. I always forget, but anyway, I just know she doesn't have to wear the funny hair. But so that starts, so she's gonna let me know on Wednesday night. and then I need to speak to Alexa. So, I'm that troll. Did she talk? Oh, there she is. All about the money and the algorithm and divide and conquer. I posted something. Okay, so whenever Charmaine says that she wants to do a live, like either what's today? Monday. Shit, it's only Monday. Okay, so like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I just, I don't want to like race her back on a live when she's just getting home after making all that money. That would be absurd, wouldn't it, Ken?
Well, it'd be nice if she goes through with her promise and takes us to Mexico.
That would be really great of her. I just don't feel like she's gonna keep
You
her
don't
word.
think she's serious on that?
Yeah. You want to talk about money bags? Money bags. She didn't care about us, did she? Ken? She was all like, "I'm out of here. I'm going for 2 weeks because I'm gonna be making more money than you can shake a stick at." And she was rubbing it in our faces.
Yeah.
Little uncool.
The other thing that I want to mention, and I would like to do a live if she's willing. We're hoping maybe to get it set up this weekend, but we've got most of the stuff that has been asked to be donated for the silent auction now. So we just got to get it together in the lots.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And then we want to be able to explain the silent auction, which will take place on the Facebook group. Once we put the stuff up, the lots will be up. There'll be numbered lots. They'll be up for a couple weeks, maybe 3.
Right.
And then the bidding will close and we will ship out your box of stuff that you bidded on. And that'll just allow us to put more money into the pot for the purchase signs.
Yeah.
And if Nova Scotia Infrastructure comes aboard and works with us as great as they sound right now, we might be looking to print a few 4x4s and get them out there to different highways. We do have one new 4x4 was privately purchased and is going to the Truro area tomorrow. So that's a new one. And we still got about 20 little ones out of the first run. So if anybody is looking for signs, contact me whatever way.
Don't contact Sonny. Sonny, this is all Kent stuff that he's going on. He's already KentCorbett81@gmail.com. Charmaine.
And my phone number is already in the comments as well too. So
yeah, absolutely. On this one. Okay, so before we get going, and so Charmaine works in the oil field. And oil field is good cha-ching. But anyways, Kent, was there besides thanking you guys for being here and everything like that, was there anything else you wanted to say? Is there anything at all else you want to say before we do head off?
Well, I would just like to say a huge thank you to Charmaine. I don't know if you were listening earlier, but I think your buddy Bench will be heading to Salt Springs tomorrow for the kids. And I'm greatly appreciated you made the decision that you did for the reason that you did it.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of people that have the heart like that are doing different things. And we just have to stay strong.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that was the perfect thing to do. Once I got off that live when we were talking about it, it's like Jack and Lily's names are behind that plaque. We know that. A lot of people will know that. This is a great gift to the school in honor of Jack and Lily for the kids, and just it belongs.
Did I show you or send you a picture to show it?
To show what?
The bench with the plaque on it?
Oh yeah, and I have it actually up on the screen right now.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm in the chat, so I just didn't know if I did or not.
Yeah, I know because you haven't upgraded so you can see both yet on there. One day you will. One day.
No, my computer extent is my phone.
Yeah. Anyways, buddy, nice to see you again. Thank you so much.
Yep.
You know, again, we're me and Kent, like I said, we're just trying to put the truth out there. Charmaine, I'm not really sure what she's trying to do anymore, to be honest with you. No, but again, you guys, let's keep it real. Keep it about Jack and Lily. Keep it realistic. I'm not here to try to cause drama and bringing in stories that I just think are utter BS and stuff like that. I just don't have the time of day. I don't want to talk about things that I believe are crap. Like Regina Lady, she can whatever. I'm sorry. You know, you'd have to seriously to believe that. That's Kent's already gone. He's out of here. But anyways, you guys. So thank you guys for being here tonight. I know it's been about a week or so since I've done a live and whatever. We'll be doing more. We will. But again, my nights are going to be coming up after next week, so then I really can't when I'm doing my night shifts. But Jack and Lily, where's Jack and Lily? Let's bring them back up. Beautiful faces on there. So thanks to all the people that truly, again, are here just for the sake of Jack and Lily and wanting answers. And like I said, for the haters are going to hate. Don't care. Who cares? Whatever. Jack and Lily and Belinda and Chelsea and all the other family members, like I said. Well, Belinda and Chelsea. I want to say specifically too. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, of course, for doing exactly what you're supposed to do, right? Like I know Chelsea stands behind her mom and helps her mom and stuff like that is a big support system. And I think Chelsea was on the live or something, but either way, spreading awareness, talking about Jack and Lily, and just the coverage of it. Simple as that. And hopefully you guys, I really do hope that answers come soon for Jack and Lily. It's heartbreaking to know that these cases, don't have resolve for sure yet. Okay, guys. Anyways, biggest hugs and kisses. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you maybe in tomorrow, maybe the next day. Okay. And other than that, not sure. Friday for sure though, too. Okay. Bye, guys. Okay, so let me just pull out a video. I know I still got to work on my video. Okay, I'm not going to make excuses. I still need to work on that video with all your guys' stuff that you've sent for the Russell McDonald, Where is Jack and Lily? I know it sits in the back of my head every single day that I got to go through a bunch of emails to find everyone's pictures. That drains me just thinking about it, but I know I got to do it. So let's see here. Video file. I'll just do this one again. I don't know. It always breaks my heart when I hear it too. 9. Linda, go to bed.
In the woods where shadows lay, Jack and Lily went to play. On a rainy May afternoon, now we whisper hope soft too. Echoes of laughter fill the air, but where are they? We stand in prayer. Oh,